All right, welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, powered by FanDuel Sportsbook. I'm with Andrew Fillipponi from 93.7 The Fan here for tonight's show. And maybe this is the one offense where you could hide Robert Spillane, Pony. And I was just thinking about that right now. You know, they basically rely on the run game. Even though Tannehill isn't that bad, I mean, he has pretty comparable numbers, a good passer rating better than Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, and Ben Roethlisberger. But look, this offense runs around Derrick Henry, who's the best back in the league. And maybe if you have a guy that can run up to the line and tackle and a run stopper, it seems like that's the kind of guy that Spillane is. Maybe it's a better fit for this week.
See, I think the difference between the Browns and the Titans is that once you shut down the run against Cleveland and made Baker Mayfield, you forced him to make plays, he couldn't. Okay, look at this play. Atrocious. High school football quarterbacks don't make that mistake. Baker Mayfield's not very good. I mean, he might be good enough against bad teams. He's not good enough against teams like the Steelers' defense. I mean, at some point, we got to start giving Ryan Tannehill some credit here. Richie, I mean, he's completing 70% of his passes. He's now started 16 games in Tennessee. He's got 35 touchdown passes in those games. I mean, I dogged him. I thought it was a boneheaded signing this offseason. I thought that they put too much stock in what he did in a half season, but I'm impressed. I watched that Bills game on KDKA where they blew out Buffalo, and I thought he was better than Henry in that game. I thought Tannehill was by far their best player. So I think it's pick your poison. Richie, if you sell out to stop Henry, I think he'll beat you. They've got receivers that are good enough, tight ends that are good enough to make you pay.
Yeah, Tannehill is a guy that doesn't make too many mistakes. 13 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 1,300 yards right now. A good fourth quarter guy. But here's my big question. Do you think the Titans are as good as their record? They won their first 3 games, barely, by 6 points total. And they went overtime with Houston. Are they just lucky right now, taking advantage of maybe an opportunistic team, or are they really a 5-0 team? They blew out one team.
Well, they're not as maybe as balanced as the Steelers. I think that the Titans' defense is the weakest unit in this game. If I'm ranking and ordering things, I'm putting that fourth on my list, but. You know, they're not an awful defense. Byard at safeties like a Minkah Fitzpatrick type. I think he's phenomenal. And Clowney doesn't put up good sack numbers, but, he gets double teamed more than any edge rusher in the entire NFL if you go by the numbers, believe it or not. So, look, they went all the way to the AFC Championship game last year, Richie. If they were 5-0 and they were a team that was coming off a 7-9 season, okay, I'd say, yeah, they're probably not as good as their record says they are. But they were leading Kansas City in the AFC Championship game. They went to the playoffs. The Steelers didn't last year. I don't know. When the season started, I thought they'd miss the playoffs. Now I feel like they probably are one of the 3 or 4 best teams in the AFC.
All right, Ken in Johnstown. How you doing, Ken?
Hey, Ken.
Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for calling.
Give Spillane a chance. It's next man up. He looked pretty good. I know he only played a couple plays.
But, Ken, how long does that last, the next man up? I understand it sounds great and, nice and fluffy, and it's good to motivate these guys. But, I mean, at what point, how long does it last for you?
I don't know. I remember when Jack Lambert was next man up. We lost our middle linebacker.
Was Jack Lambert undrafted?
You guys don't remember that?
Well,
was Jack Lambert undrafted?
I mean, let's talk about now. Do you remember the next man up? They went out and got Sean Spence because Tyler Matakevich was your next man up, right?
Wait a minute. Let's just call timeout on this.
Yeah.
We just had a guy compare Robert Spillane to Jack Lambert.
I know.
What are we doing here? It's not like Jack Lambert was the guy that was bagging groceries who the Steelers found on the street and said, hey, you look like a mean, tough guy. You'd make a great football player, and he turned out to be one of the best linebackers ever. He wasn't a 15th round pick. He was drafted by the Steelers to be a starting linebacker in the NFL. Robert Spillane was not. That call reminded me of when Hines Ward would say, oh, nobody gave me a chance. Yes, they did. You were a third-round pick. You weren't a guy that went undrafted. You weren't pick 199 like Tom Brady, I mean, that's just ridiculous to me. They're forced to play Spillane. They're not playing him because they want to, Richie. If they liked Spillane, you know what they would do? They'd find a way to get him on the field with Vince Williams because they didn't think Vince was very good against the pass, right? They think Vince Williams is a better run stuffer. So why wouldn't they take, when Bush was healthy, why didn't they take Williams off the field and give Spillane some snaps in his spot if he's so good?
I think you're going to see more safeties. Cam Sutton, bigger role for him, potentially another corner out there.
But did you hear what Butler said today? He said he doesn't want to move Edmonds down to linebacker. I disagree with that.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, but, we talked about this on the Showdown, I think. You're putting him out of position too. So I think we're going to see some exotic looks. I mean, most of the time you see, five or six defensive backs out there anyway. So maybe they'll
But you never saw Bush come off the field.
No, you're right.
Whether it was a goal line situation, the team was going to pass, they were loading up to run the ball, Bush never left the field. That's got to tell you something, doesn't it?
No question about it. I think he played all 100% of the snaps. Let's go out to Rudy in Hempfield. How you doing, Rudy?
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
Hi, Rich.
Hey, Rudy.
Andrew.
Hey.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You got me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yep, we got you loud and
How
clear.
you doing, guys?
Good.
Good.
Hey, you guys need to chill out a little bit. You're making it sound like Spillane's going to play the Titans all by himself. There's a lot of other good defensive players on that team. I mean, I don't think that they really have to worry too much about it. I think there'll be other guys there that will pick up the slack.
Okay, I see your point, and I do get it. It takes 11 people, but what happened to the Steelers' defense when Ryan Shazier wasn't there anymore? It revolves around the inside linebacker.
So, no doubt. So you're telling me that if T.J. Watt got injured, we'd be saying the same thing? Well, they got 10 other guys, they'll be fine. If Minka Fitzpatrick got hurt, would we be saying, well, we've seen Sean Davis in games before, they'll be fine? I mean, maybe they will. I'm just going off, Richie. This is my analysis on this. I'm going off how the Steelers evaluated both guys. They thought Bush was so good, they traded up to the 10th pick to get him. They never took him off the field. Spillane played in blowouts like against the Giants in week 1 and on special teams. That's it. That's all. If he was so good, they would have found, just like Chase Claypool, if you're a good player, they will find ways to get you on the field, and they really didn't with Spillane until they absolutely had to.
No, they found a way to get Mike Hilton on the field. He was an undrafted guy,
Good
right?
point.
He's one same kind of situation as Spillane. I just think, look, the Titans know all about this guy. That's the first place he signed as an undrafted free agent. They cut him. I think they're going to try to expose him. Don't you?
Yes, and the Titans have the same issue at left tackle. It goes both ways. I think the Steelers have they're going to have to give their left tackle help. And that's going to make things a lot easier for everybody else in the Steelers defense because, 2-on-1, if it's two guys blocking Bud Dupree, that's going to make things easier for T.J. Watt. That's going to make things easier for Cam Hayward and other Steelers front 7 guys. I think not having Bush makes Vince Williams' job harder. He's going to have to cover for a guy who's making his first NFL star. I don't understand why that's so complicated for Steelers fans. This is a big issue. They have a great defense, and maybe it'll be good enough to cover him up, but to act like he's not going to be their weakest link on Sunday, I think is delusional.
All right, let's go to our Tri-State Office Furniture tweet of the day, and this is from Sports Center, and this is a quote about former Steelers disgruntled wide receiver Antonio Brown from Russell Wilson. It seems like potentially the Seahawks are doing their homework on this guy, might sign him. A couple teams are looking into him, Pony. I think he does play football. I think this is a great place if he does play again. I think this is a place where he'll grow a lot as a man, too. This is from Russell Wilson, who said that. Pony, do you foresee him getting a shot with the Seahawks? You think it'll work out?
Yeah, Pete Carroll made it sound like they're the only way it doesn't happen is if he picks another team. Like they want him,
yeah,
but maybe they feel like another team will make a better offer. No, Wilson seems like he's possessed, like he wants to prove to everybody that he can make it work with Antonio Brown.
Yeah, the Ravens could be that other team too. So we got to take a break. Back with more of your phone calls, some of your tweets coming up next. Stay right there.